When was the last time you were lynched? Were you ever lynched? Do you think you will be lynched? You know, the first time that I was lynched, I was 8 years old. Imagine that, 8 years old. It was a fair day. Nothing fair about the day that I was lynched. It was just a day in which I decided to go to the fair. You know, it's a carnival in one of those small southern towns where they have riverboat rides and seats. Well, at that particular time, at that carnival ride, I left my football on the ride. I was 8 years old. It was 1970. It was during a time in which people cleaned off the rides because people like me got on them. I left my football on the ride and I asked the carnival attendant, could I get my football? He said, no, the ball's not there. But I said, sir, it's right there. I'm looking right at it. And then it happened. He rushed me and grabbed my throat and started choking me. At 8-year-old, the words that uttered from my mouth was, I can't breathe. I said that 40 years before other people said I can't breathe. And then I called for my mother. I called for my mother and she came to my rescue. That's happened many times after that event. And I decided that I would embrace change and help other people. I found myself years later at a PWI. Well, for those that don't understand what PWI and don't speak in acronymical terms, it's a predominantly white institution. And I took my historical black self and I sat down in a chair. And I sat down in a chair and then that's when I discovered that I would be academically lynched. Because I came in, I thought, hey, look, I have all of these scholarships. I have all of these good grades, most likely to succeed. And one of the students, the classmates, you know, during the time frame in which you get to meet the people in your class, the classmate told me, he said, the only reason why you're in that seat, in that chair, is because you're fulfilling a quota. A quota. Or perhaps you can toss a football, or perhaps you can shoot a basketball, but you don't belong in that chair, you don't belong in that seat. And I told him, I said, hey, look, I belong here and I'm not here for your amusement, I'm here for academic achievement. I was academically lynched then. And I was wondering, I was saying, I wonder if my professor feels the same way that that student feels. Will my grades get weighted the same way the other people's grades get? Years later, I found myself back at that same predominantly white institution with my historical black self, sitting in that seat, trying to stop people that were younger than me, 30 years younger than me, from dropping out of school because they were academically lynched. Embracing change is about realizing, first of all, we have ropeless lynchings. They occur every day. 47 million African Americans today are under the threat of being academically lynched. I did what my grandmother said. You know, she worked in the service industry. For those of you who don't know what the service industry is, that meant that she kept somebody else's house. You know, she wore the white uniform and kept someone's house and kept it clean before she came back home and kept her own house clean. And she said, you know, you need to get a good job, one of those good jobs. And one of those good jobs you have, you would sit in a conference room like I did after I achieved a form of managerial skills. And I would notice then that I, again, was seen to be in that same classroom again. And I wondered if that student, that classmate that I met 30 years ago, perhaps he was sitting in that same seat beside me and I could be corporately lynched. You know about corporate lynchings. Perhaps you do, perhaps you don't. Perhaps you haven't been downsized. Perhaps you know the saying about last hired, first fired, and never retired. That's what this is all about. So I decided to do then what I did when I was in college and when I did a mentoring program to keep African American males from being academically lynched. I began a mentoring program where I decided to keep African American males and females from being corporately lynched. Before you realize that you can't or you can be lynched, realize that this is out here. The struggle is real. So all these years, I thought I had it made. I survived the physical lynching, I survived the academic lynching, and then I said I was gonna sit back and relax in my golden years and no longer struggle. But as I said, the struggle is always real. I sat home one day, retired, and I decided to do something just simply basic to retain my money. I called and did a refi. I had a 750 credit score. They tell me that's pretty good. I had money in the bank in which I could go ahead and pay the loan off if I wanted to pay it off. I thought I had it made. So I called. They denied me the loan. I became financially lynched then. A lynching that I thought that I went past had circled back again just like a carnival ride. So our challenge today is no matter what we do, is to realize that there are all types of modern lynchings that are out there. But we have to first realize that it can happen to us, and we must stop it from happening to other people. That's embracing change. That's being resilient. Thank you.